The other thing I thought was interesting about it was the completely, well, I would say sort of airbrushing, really, of Prince Harry, who shuffled in with the only royals still talking to him, Beatrice and Eugenie.
Beatrice and Eugenie, and there it was, meant to be a private meeting at Windsor Castle, a rare summoning by King Charles as his health remains in question. But the silence in the room was deafening. The king didn't speak. Instead, he handed the floor to Princess Anne. Then it came, a seismic revelation that would forever shift the royal family's legacy. That jaw-dropping interview that has everyone scratching their heads. Why? Some sources fear Prince Harry is heading for a Meghan and Harry were to be permanently sidelined, their children Archie and Lilibet stripped of royal acknowledgement and all titles unofficially frozen. What followed wasn't mere disappointment, it was a full-blown royal collapse. Prince Harry was visibly shaken, and for the first time, the door didn't just close, it locked. And Meghan, nowhere to be seen, as usual. He revealed over the weekend that he's been cut off by his father, King Charles, again, claiming the monarch won't speak to me. This revelation followed Prince Harry's failed legal appeal over his security. Let's begin with the chilling silence. King Charles, a monarch known for measured diplomacy, stunned even his closest family members by refusing to deliver his own final statement. He didn't sit at the head of the table with his usual composed authority. Instead, he sat back, eyes focused, hands folded, and handed the task to Princess Anne, a gesture that said more than words ever could. This is no longer a debate, it's an execution of duty. By letting Anne speak on his behalf, Charles was sending a message to everyone in the room. And also unleashed a series of harsh criticisms directed towards his family. Can I just say that that's what kills me the most? That the soundbite everybody grabbed for this was, I would like to reconcile with my. And to Harry in particular, his personal feelings no longer shield his youngest son from consequences. After years of public betrayals, Oprah interviews, Netflix docuseries, and memoirs that dragged the monarchy through the mud, the king finally drew a red line. And it was Anne, the monarchy's most loyal soldier, who was trusted to enforce it. This wasn't an olive branch, it was a royal eviction notice. Then came the gut punch. Princess Anne read what many insiders now confirm to be the most controversial portion of the king's final directive: Archie and Lilibet will not be acknowledged as his and her royal highnesses now or in the future. For Meghan Markle, this is a catastrophic blow. She has spent the last 3 years subtly but consistently campaigning for her children to be granted royal status. That it's taken Prince Harry 40 years to learn the definition of the word consequences, but it was Princess Diana herself, "This is my girlfriend Marin Callahan," that reminded me of this, that referred to her youngest son as thick. Going so far as to accuse the palace of racism and institutional bias during her 2021 Oprah interview. But this wasn't about race, it was about rules and loyalty. By stepping down as working royals, Harry and Meghan forfeited the right to pass those titles down. Full stop. Their expectation that they could slam the monarchy in public while still reaping its privileges in private was naive at best and manipulative at worst. If there was ever a moment to test the royal family's willingness to extend even a symbolic gesture of warmth to Prince Harry's son, Archie's recent birthday was it. And the silence from Buckingham Palace was deafening as May 6 came and went. Not a single public message was shared from any senior royal, not from King Charles, not from Prince William, not even from the official royal family social media accounts. In stark contrast to previous years where minimal birthday greetings were offered even amid tension, this year's total blackout marked a deliberate shift. No cake emoji, no throwback photo, nothing. And yet the monarchy's birthday tributes flowed freely for working royals, no matter how minor. Even Princess Eugenie's son August received a nod on his special day. The message was clear: Archie is not part of the firm. He was born into a family that no longer acknowledges his presence. Sources close to the palace have indicated that this was not an oversight. Well, now in California, the Duchess of Sussex has been making moves, and she's hired a brand new chief of staff. Can you imagine needing a chief of staff? No, that being the president, isn't it? No. When Aidan said yesterday about, but a strategic choice reflecting internal consensus that Archie and Lilibet are not to be included in royal protocols so long as Harry and Meghan remain outside the fold and continue to monetize the royal connection. For Harry, it was yet another emotional gut punch, especially considering his father King Charles shares a birthday month with his grandson. But with trust shattered and ties severed, even the children have become collateral in the Sussexes' war with the crown. This wasn't just a snub, it was a statement. You made your choice. So did we. The royal family has now drawn a definitive line. If you're not serving the crown, your children do not carry its titles. Period. And I think they explained it as they both decided it wasn't going to quite work. But I think there's also this history of when they were working members, of the royal family. Period. If that weren't humiliating enough, the next point drove the dagger in deeper. The Sussexes were reminded firmly and unambiguously that they are not to use their royal titles in any commercial, political, or public-facing capacity. That means no more Duke and Duchess of Sussex splashed across Netflix deals, charity press releases, or Archie&Lilibet branding. Let's be clear, this was always part of the original Sandringham agreement back in 2020. But the couple has routinely skirted the edges of that agreement, branding themselves as global royals without doing the work. Had a fairly big turnover of staff in the last few years, and also the King has lost quite a few key members of staff who stayed on during the transition after the late Queen's death but then have moved on as well. So, Harry refers to himself as Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, in his lawsuits. Meghan's social media and press releases lean heavily into Duchess branding. They present themselves as part-time royals when convenient, yet full-time victims when called out. This time, the palace isn't playing along. The new instruction is crystal clear: use of royal status by non-working royals is unauthorized, unauthentic, and now unacceptable. And then the fallout. So I think that will be what it be about. It'll be about somebody who's got experience of dealing with philanthropy. Of course, the problem with the Sussexes is they need to bring the money in as well, and I'm not quite sure whether she's got as much experience on that front. Yeah. Meanwhile, they have been out having a good time. Inside sources at Windsor confirmed that Prince Harry was visibly disturbed. Fractured was the word used by one palace aide. Another described him as seething, cornered, and unraveling by the minute. Imagine it, a man who once stood second in line to the throne now reduced to a silent witness as his family effectively excommunicates him from royal life. According to those present, Harry's hands trembled, his eyes darted nervously between Princess Anne and Prince William. His mouth remained clenched as he sat in silence, the full weight of his choices finally landing on his shoulders. No press team, no Meghan to back him up, no Netflix crew to edit out the pain. Over the weekend, it was suggested it's all a PR show because things are not great behind the scenes. But I really don't pick that up, I have to say. Maybe I'm missing something, but I think there's a lot of angst there. There's a lot of angst from Harry, particularly about the family rift and just the cold reality delivered by blood relatives who've simply had enough. Harry didn't storm out. He didn't protest. He simply sat there, shaken, ashen, and for the first time in years, powerless. And yet, this was only the beginning. Because what Princess Anne revealed next would send aftershocks across the monarchy and ignite fresh tensions between the Crown and California. With Parliament quietly backing these moves and Meghan's absence becoming impossible to ignore, the Sussexes now face the starkest truth of all: they are no longer royal. Stay tuned as we dive into the next explosive developments, including William's stunned reaction and what the King's long-term plan could mean for Archie and Lilibet's future. Just when it seemed things couldn't get worse, Princess Anne delivered the next devastating blow. The King's decree didn't just apply to the titles Meghan and Harry currently use. It extended into the future, blocking any and all attempts by the Sussexes to associate new ventures, charitable foundations, or advocacy campaigns with the royal institution. No more royal-style appearances, no more vague references to duty or legacy, no more using Diana's memory as moral currency. But he was just expressing the fact that he doesn't know what's wrong with his dad. But yeah, I think they're doing okay as a couple, from what I gather. Well, and look, let's be honest, that's what it's nice to see. You want them to be happy. Just this, insiders say, is what truly enraged Harry, because it cuts off the couple's greatest leverage. Their entire post-royal brand, from Spotify to Archie&Lilibet to Netflix, hinges on the illusion of royalty. But with this decision, The firm has stripped that illusion bare. And it's not just a personal punishment, it's a strategic block against brand exploitation going forward. By the Sussexes to imply royal sanction will be met with legal rebuke. That's not just a formality, it's a direct assault on their income stream. Perhaps the most telling sign of all was Meghan Markle's glaring absence from the meeting. While royalists speculated about illness or scheduling conflicts, palace aides privately offered a different explanation. Meghan simply didn't want to be there. This wasn't just a family summit, it was a seismic turning point for the monarchy, and Meghan chose to sit out. Whether out of fear, pride, or disdain, her absence signaled one thing loud and clear: she no longer views the monarchy as a seat of authority. But the monarchy noticed. Princess Anne's tone, William's clipped responses, and the king's cold silence all reportedly pointed to a deeper resentment. Meghan is not only physically absent, she's spiritually severed from the institution, and that makes her a non-entity in royal decisions. In royal circles, that's not just an insult, that's suicide. And if you think this is all just family drama, think again. Behind the scenes, British Parliament is quietly aligning with the palace, reinforcing the decision to strip titles, block branding, and end public confusion about the Sussexes' role. Multiple MPs from both sides have reportedly raised concerns about the ambiguity around Harry and Meghan's status, especially given their political commentary, media ventures, and financial ties to controversial organizations. Sources within Whitehall confirm that discussions are underway to formalize the consequences of stepping down from royal duties. This includes blocking future attempts to re-enter public funding, prohibiting use of Her Royal Highness in diplomatic, media, or business dealings, and, most explosively, reclassifying Harry and Meghan's children as private citizens, not royal figures. It's no longer just about tradition. It's now a matter of national clarity. And as if the room wasn't tense enough, it was Prince William who bore the final burden. As Anne concluded the king's message, all eyes reportedly turned to the heir apparent. For William, this wasn't just another chapter in royal duty, it was the moment he realized he was now the face of the future monarchy. Gone is the illusion that Harry might return. Gone is the hope that reconciliation might heal the cracks. Instead, William now shoulders the full task of upholding the family name, without his brother, without Meghan, and without the once charming image of a Fab Four. Sources say William looked stunned, his face stiff, his hands clenched, his voice barely above a whisper when he finally responded, "Understood." It was more than acknowledgement. It was acceptance of a crown forged in fire, not unity. And while Harry's world crumbles, Meghan remains silent. But silence won't last long. Behind the scenes, sources say she's preparing a move, one that could escalate the royal war to an entirely new level. Next, we'll explore Meghan's reported fury, potential media retaliation, and whether the California-based couple is plotting a comeback in disguise. As the doors of Windsor Castle closed behind him, Prince Harry wasn't just leaving a meeting. He was walking out of a monarchy that had officially, publicly, and permanently moved on without him. There was no olive branch, no compromise, no space left for illusion, with King Charles's final wish. Delivered not by warm invitation but cold decree, the royal family made it clear: you're out, stay out and don't come back with cameras rolling. For Harry, the blow was twofold. First, the monarchy's formal refusal to recognize his children as royal bloodlines, and second, the implicit but unmistakable exile from any future relevance in the institution he once called home. Worse still, his wife was absent again, a quiet but defiant rejection of the family's authority. And now, as if things couldn't be more humiliating, Harry's bizarre and awkward moment, caught on CCTV, knocking on the wrong door in a private London estate, confused and visibly shaken, has gone viral. The clip, leaked just days after the Windsor confrontation, has been mercilessly mocked across media platforms. For the Sussexes, this isn't just a PR nightmare, it's a full-blown collapse of control. The royal family has spoken, Parliament is aligning, the British public is watching and laughing, and Meghan, sources say, she's furious, fuming behind the gates of Montecito, plotting her next move. But one truth is undeniable. The Sussexes aren't just losing grip on the royal brand, they're being erased from the legacy they tried so desperately to commodify. And as the storm swells again, one question remains: What happens when two exiles try to wage war against a crown that has already replaced